Just to recap, thought we played well on all three levels. Everyone had their part in playing pretty good team defense. We did some good things situationally, kept the score down, which is good, and the offense there, the score was going up, so then that kind of changed the game in the second half there, and executed at a pretty good level, things that we need to clean up moving forward, as always, and we're on to the New York Giants.
Was that game kind of the way that, in your mind, this defense should be playing, that stop the run, get them in the passing downs, all that stuff?
Yeah, every game's different. When we develop the game plan, early in the week and talk about with the head coach, like, here's what we want to do, and this is what's important to, you never want to get beat by their bread and butter players or plays. So hopefully you have stuff to combat what they do. And each game's a little bit different, but I thought that the plan was set up and the players really executed the plan in a way that didn't allow them to get going and score points how they've been scoring points. So ultimately the players did a really good job of winning their one-on-ones and playing, good team defense.
Why was this case? What did you learn that you could not see in practice?
Nothing really, Zach. Honestly, I expect Nakobe to go in there and play well. That's what we've been saying kind of all along. All those guys that get snaps, we expect there not to be a lot of drop off. So, he's been doing that in practice. He's been doing his job. He's been improving his game. He hustles. He practices his tail off, and he went in there, and it was good to see him get some snaps and hit the ball a couple times.
Why do you think the disguises have worked so well this game?
This last game?
Yeah,
it was, I think, when you set up, when it's known pass, that allows you to do some different things in the back end. And then, disguises, it's one thing to put people in different spots and hopefully that affects the quarterback. But, typically when we do that, there's a reason for it with how it blends with the protection, who you want the one-on-ones to go to, the coverage structures that you're playing. So that's kind of a week in, week out, because there's a lot of times that, I laugh, like you can throw up a couple disguises, but it's really not doing anything to the quarterback. It's not doing anything to the protection, and really it's stressing your guys out in the back end. So you got to be aware of those three things when we set up disguises. Why are we doing this? And some of the times it's setting up certain things, certain looks, but I did feel like how we deployed our people on known pass, it kind of hit those buckets, and they did a good job with it, because a couple times that they're a little out of phase when the ball's snapped, or as the ball's, as the quarterback's dropping back, where you're putting them in some hard downs, but they did a good job with it.
Just to follow up on that, the coverage structures, how important or what kind of luxury is it to have sort of veteran corners who were savvy as James and Darius when you play all those different coverages?
Yeah, a luxury that you can't put a price on, honestly. It really is. It does, with those guys being able to be multiple in what they're doing, and you can play certain coverages and not worry about their formations or matchups. It really is. It opens the book up with what you want to do, and then you can apply pressure to different people accordingly. And sometimes that's by where the ball's going. Sometimes that's by formations, by the route concepts. But those guys have done a fantastic job, the whole back end. But those two corners, the way we change things, disguise things, play different coverages, what we ask those guys to do, their skill sets allow us to do that, and that's one of the reasons we're playing pretty good in the pass game. So, and those two guys, that's why you love about those guys, Slay and Bradberry and all those guys, is, whatever, even if they want to play a certain way on third down and we say, hey, this is the best way to do this, this is what we need you to do, got it. And so ultimately, they're both of those guys are team first guys, and it gives us a lot of flexibility with how we want to defend people.
JJ, there weren't a lot of snaps for Jordan Davis. Did you kind of want to ease him back after 4 weeks off?
Yeah, that's a good question, Merrill. That was, that's why we had 6 of those guys up, knowing that, he hasn't played in a month and wanted to kind of ease him back in. And I thought he did a good job and looking forward to getting him more and more acclimated and getting his snaps up, but was pleased where that rotation was. And, ultimately that room is so strong. It gives you the flexibility to do that. If we didn't have the players that we have in that room, he would have probably had to play 25 snaps, coming off, not playing for a month and, maybe fighting through a little bit of pain. So glad we have that luxury. They did a good job, and he'll keep getting more snaps as we get going.
So that was planned more than him re-aggravating?
Yeah, we had a plan going in, just like what we talk about. Yeah, I mean, I think you can ask him. I think it bit on him once or twice, which that's we knew that was going to happen, so we planned accordingly. And then how the game fell out, there wasn't a lot of plays, so I think he probably could have played more. But I was glad that he got back in a uniform, and it was good to see him out there, and it'll be good to get him rolling again.
I wanted to ask you about the D-line in general, and just you just kind of touched on this. You have you have experience, you have young guys, you have versatile guys, you have a rotation of like 9 guys. What does that all allow you to do? What do you like about the way they're playing together and how the whole thing's fitting?
Yeah, I mean, Ruben, just like what we've talked about, it's it gives you flexibility with structures. It provides you flexibility with matchups, when guys can play certain different spots, like it's not always, this guy on this guy is a good matchup. Well, this guy might be good in, with bull rushes, but he struggles with counter rushes. So, let's put our best counter rusher on him and our best bull rush on the guy that struggles to block the bull rush. So, that's scheme versus scheme, people versus people, people versus scheme. When you have that type with those type of players that we have, the flexibility that allows you to do different things. And hopefully we set it up in a way that gives them favorable matchups. So, I think they're doing an excellent job. And just like those corners that I talked about, they're willing to do whatever we really want them to do, and we give them the reason why, and they're for it, because ultimately they want to win games. It's not about their production or, their stats. The biggest stat that they care about is wins and losses. So, it's been a joy to be around this group this year because everyone's bought into that.
With Nakobe, what stands out behind the scenes that kind of speaks to his preparedness?
What we talked about with Reed and all our rookies, and that's why it's so huge, Howie and his people and the head coach. Like when we bring people into this building, we say, like, ultimately as a coach, you want the people under your watch to be able to hit their ceiling, right? And more times than not, the guys that don't hit their ceiling, it's typically comes down to their football character, that they don't have the right football character to hit their ceiling. So the people that we've brought in here, and it's like our rookies, the free agents that we've brought in, the guys mid-year that we've brought in, their football character is through the roof. So that's the first thing is because that he's going to study, he's going to prep, he's going to watch tape, he's going to take notes, he's going to be interactive in meetings, he's going to practice, he's going to value his reps. And then when you put all those things together, football character, what does that mean? Kind of all that stuff, and it's all encompassing. When you put all those things together, all those variables together, you will start to see the player improve. And obviously we know that they can't all get a bunch of game reps because those are the most valuable reps, but what those guys do behind the scenes with everything that I just talked about, that's going to allow them to keep ascending, even if they're not getting a bunch of snaps. So, it's kind of what happened with Reed. It happened with Josiah, guys that we need to go cave on, Dre, Zach McPherson, the whole D-line room plays, but, those guys that we're going to need to play and have roles and play winning football for us, they have to be doing that in a different way than the guy that's getting all the reps in practice. So, hopefully that answered your question in a roundabout way. That was a little long-winded. But
Aside from the Cardinals, you haven't really seen a quarterback that's involved in the run game. How much do they use Daniel Jones in that manner, and what kind of stress does it put on?
Yeah, Brian Dable and Mike Kafka know what they're doing. Bobby Johnson's the O-line coach. I was with Bobby for a little bit, and he knows what he's doing. They know how to use to maximize their quarterback skill set in a way that makes it very challenging for the defense, because it challenges your rules and your structures, and they find their matchups, their one-on-one matchups, because of the quarterback skill set. So we got a big-time challenge ahead of us, and we got to be on it. I mean, it's a game where you can't just line up and play your stuff or you will get gashed. So we got a big-time challenge ahead of us.
Go back to what you're talking about with football character. When you are in the player acquisition process, how do you go about trying to suss out players in football?
Yeah, that's why I say that's the first guy that I mentioned was Howie and his staff. That's a big job of the personnel people to vet that. And then, like what we talk about, we have ways to kind of get to the bottom of that, but it's a small league. It's a small circle. A lot of guys talk, and if we have these cohabitation reports that we give to Howie, where that means, hey, you were with Linville for 4 years. How is he? You know what I mean? Well, I was the assistant DB coach. But I knew how he practiced, how he prepared, how he played. So then you put it in. Football character checks out, And then you talk to your buddy at the Chargers. How was he for you? Great. Football character checks out. So you say, well, there's a good chance that it's going to check out now, right? So we use every tool available to try to figure that out, and you're not always going to be right on that. Especially through the draft process and free agent process. But I think the most important thing of this place is we value it. So when you value something, you're obviously going to put time on task to it, and you're going to vet it the correct way. And not to say that you're always right, but, Howie and the head coach have been, they're hitting at a pretty high clip right now with the people they're bringing in.
Does stopping Saquon Barkley, does that present different challenges than maybe someone like Derrick Henry did?
Yeah, unique player, Saquon. Obviously you got picked that high for a reason. He can run it, he can catch it. They split him out wide, they throw it to him, they hand it off to him, jet sweeps, tosses, inside runs. He lines up as a receiver. He lines up as the quarterback. So, yeah, he's got a very unique skill set. He's explosive, he's big, he's strong, he can hit home runs, he can break tackles. We're going to have to be on it. He looks he looks like the premier back that he is right now on tape this year.
As a follow-up to Jeff's question, the biggest games Tennessee got on the ground were with team scrambles. And it's these next few weeks you're seeing that. What can you learn in the Cuddy's game that can be a
Yeah, like we use some tools when we need to use some tools. And a lot of times those, Zach, you don't know when those plays are going to come up. But that's just, everyone kind of doing their job the correct way and knowing that quarterback has that in his skill set. And you got to play accordingly by situation, by down and distance, by the call. We have to be very aware of that's part of his game, that's one of the main ways that they move the ball down the field. So just like any key to victory, we have to be very aware of that's how they're playing good offense, one of the pieces why they play good offense, and we have to be able to combat it.
You mentioned those cohabitation reports. Has there been something when you look at James Bradberry that surprised you since he's been in the building as opposed to what you read about those reports?
No, we were dead on with all those reports and how we vetted his character. It's probably been better, but James Bradberry's football character, you would put it up against anybody in the world. So glad we have him.
That was a little different. Questions will be a little different. What do you think changed for the whole group? Was there any one thing that kind of turned things around for you guys?
It's just one of those things where, this team, this group out here, they're very prideful. So anytime you put a performance that we talked about Green Bay, that no one's going to be happy about that. But they came in Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, ready to be a contributing factor for this team. And, I'm just really proud of those guys going out there and, going, and the energy and the passion they had to go out there to help the team was outstanding. Anybody that could watch that game was probably our best game all around, special teams wise, and and we just talk about trying to be consistent. So you could always do it one time. Now we got to do it, 4 consecutive times to help this team in our run at the end of the year right here.
During last week, what was your approach and what was the vibe like in those meetings as you got ready for that game?
Yeah, my approach, I try to keep a very steady, similar approach week in, week out. You don't want to be not yourself around. These guys are going to figure it out when you're not yourself. You spend so much time with these people that they're going to find out when you're not who you are. So I just try to be the same person I am day in and day out. And it's just one of those things where the energy that we had through practice throughout the game was evident. And, there were some big collisions out there, and everyone felt that. And that's, the sole, talking point throughout the week was just energy and passion, and everything else will take care of itself. And fortunate for us, it happened on Sunday.
What did Christian add to the unit, elevating him and making that tweak?
Yeah, with Christian, kudos to him. Being on the practice squad, you could get, kind of lost in the shuffle. You may not take it seriously in terms of, I probably won't get called up, but Christian comes in every day and he gives maximum effort, regardless of what he's doing, whether that's scout team, whether that's giving us a rush on punt. And, when his number was called, it wasn't anything, changed for his process. He came in the same way he did, and he was ready to perform out there. And, just some added boost, some big hits, some collisions out there, some good blocks on the punt return. So for Christian to do that, it's kudos to him just to be ready whenever his number is called right there.
Was Covey's success due more to the extra cushion he had with the long punts, or were they blocked better, or both?
It all goes hand in hand, depending on the opponent. If you're going to get a long kicks at short hang time, you may have an opportunity more than the high hang times and shorter punts right there. But, it all starts with the guys on the outside with Andre and Zach. When you put them in a one-on-one situation with some gunners and stopping them or slowing them down at least to give Covey some extra room, it always starts with them. Then the interior, can we get off on the ball, make it look like a rush and hold these guys up and finish down the field to give Covey an avenue to do what he does and make one miss and get outside, show off some speed right there. So it was a group effort, but, it's kudos to Covey as well. Just, I talk about a lot, like a baseball hitter, you swing, and sometimes you're able to hit those extra base hits, and he had a few of them in the game that helped with the field position.
And Nakobe was a pretty big star in college and has been playing just mostly special teams so far this year. What kind of perspective can you give on how he's handled that and how he's sort of attacked his specific role?
Yeah, Nakobe, like I've alluded to earlier, he's a really good football player, and he's going to do whatever it is to help the team in any capacity he can. But you could go down the line. Patrick Willis and Navarro Bowman, when they were in San Francisco, they were on the punt team. They were contributing to special teams. It's not one of those things where, Malcolm Jenkins here, when he was a really good star safety, he was playing their PP. So it's not one of those things where it's a demotion to play special teams. And the guy that he is, the player that he is, he just wants to win just like anybody else in this building. So he's going to do the best he possibly can, studying, working his technique, his craft, asking questions. How can I do this? How can I be better at this to help this team win? And, it's just kudos to him, being a rookie, but being mature enough to do that. And, his time's going to come. Everybody knows that, but he's going to do everything possible right now to help this team win.
On kickoff coverage, it looked like you had two players stacked together on the outside, and that was a difference from the previous week. What went into that? And
on the backside?
yes.
Yeah, you got different configuration, but obviously with the rules, you got to have two guys backed out there. We kind of just slimmed down the kickoff coverage. It was just a hair right there just to get close to the ball, and Jake does a good job putting the ball where we want it to be at to allow these guys to go out and play. So just something, a little tweak here and there. We did that a little bit last year, got back to it a little bit to help these guys out getting down the field. So, but it's all of them. I could do so much in terms of telling them on Wednesday, Thursday, hey, this is the return. You never know what return you're going to get, but it's those guys playing fast, playing physical, violent at the ball. And, Nakobe had a huge hit coming out the half that if you hear that TV cough, you're like, that was a real-life hit right there. Then everybody else, Sean made a good play on a return that we kind of got hit on with Green Bay. They did a really good job of staying square and everything. So just a little tweak here and there just to help these guys out, put them in a better position.
Who do you lean on in the core group to give that energy and passion?
That's a very good question in terms of who you lean on. I try to lean on everyone. Everyone has a different role. Marcus Epps played special teams prior to being a starting safety right there, so I'll lean on him. TJ Edwards the same. Sean Bradley, Kayvon, those guys, taking that leadership role, but try to spread the love around. I could lean on Reed as the PP right now. You're the captain of that group, so we're going to lean on you to give us the right calls to get going right there. So it's a group effort on who we're going to lean on right there to get these guys going.
You mentioned Covey. How much, obviously everyone kind of goes into all 11 guys go into a good punt return. But how much is him just seeing things better and understanding what the defense is trying to do or the coverage is trying to do, and just having a better feel because, I mean, he's still a young player.
Yeah, I mean, he's got, 12 games under his belt only. It's a little bit different than college, and you could tell early in the season he wanted to return everything. But as as you play a lot more, you start to get used to the speed of everything. All right, I can't take this chance right here. Let me just fair catch it. But, over the last 7 returns, I think, 4 or 5 of the 7 returns have been over 12 yards right there, dating back to the Indianapolis game. So he's just getting more comfortable right there, fielding the ball, judging the ball. When it's a high hang time, the guy's probably going to get down there in my face. I'll fair catch it. But when I can see coming off the ball, it's not going to be that great hang time, and he's kind of outkicked his coverage. This is my time to take this and, flip the field. I mean, we had one at the 44 and I think the 50-yard line right there. So just the more times you get used to it, just like in anything else you do, you're just going to get better at it, hopefully get better at it. And, he's shown some promise right there, but we got to stay consistent and keep it going as the season goes along.
A couple more. Kickoff coverage was a big topic last week. Everything keeps say the run defense was a big topic. And you guys course corrected. What goes into fixing something in the middle of the season when you don't have a lot of practice time, like Wednesday walkthroughs? How do you fix it as you go?
Just all the film study as you go, talking points, keeping it simple for these guys. A lot of times on kickoff coverage, you want to keep it as simple as, this is your one rule. You do that, we'll be just fine. For all basically 10, basically 11, even with the kicker with Jake putting it where we wanted to be at, just redefining their roles of, hey, this is what you got, you stick to this, everybody else will get to the ball right there. So it's just, Coach talks about defining roles. It's defining your job at that task and kickoff coverage, and I think myself did a better job at that this week to help these guys be put in a better spot.
Now that you've seen it for a while, what do you think Boston has added to the kickoff return unit?
Yeah, I mean, Boston, he's done it before in his career. He added a little juice right there, and he has really good vision. Obviously, as a running back, being able to pick and choose the lane to get going right there and hit it. And a lot of the times, you see Boston, may not be the biggest guy in stature, but he falls forward a lot. That's a huge thing when, you can't break a tackle and you fall forward. That's an extra 1.5, 2 yards right there that you may not get somewhere else. But, Boston, he takes pride in everything, just like anybody else that sits in this room. They take pride in their job, and they just want to help this team win in any capacity.
This is the time of year last season we saw Aaron start to struggle a little bit with the conditions. Where's the confidence level in him, and why do you think it won't happen again this year?
Yeah, I mean, just like anything else, now he's the Northeast and everything. He knows what he's up against, but the confidence level for himself is just, believing in himself. There's a reason why you're on an NFL team. So as long as he believes in that, and we'll be able to get out there and cover for him, and he knows guys are going to be out there protecting, covering, and him just staying true to himself, I think he'll be just fine. But again, as we get forward, we're just trying to help this team get to our ultimate goal right there. So we're just going to keep going forward, and starting tomorrow with the guys coming in here.
That's one. A game in New York this weekend, Chicago next weekend. Tough places to kick this time of year. What goes into preparing for those situations?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you want to look at the weather and see what may happen right there, but the beauty of it, both teams got a kick in it. It's not just a one-sided thing right there, and obviously not a dome, so it's not a controlled thing. So we'll be able, we'll be able to look at the weather, say, hey, this what may happen right there, and have a game plan. Obviously when we get to the stadium pregame, you could usually tell, all right, the wind's going this way. We could adjust it off that. So it's just one of those things where, as much as Mother Nature is undefeated, both teams got to deal with it. So it's not really much, and as long as we embrace it, we'll be just fine.
The Giants live by the blitz.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel like you guys have done over the course of the season, getting better when you face teams that blitz?
Yeah. I think with anything, you always got to have a plan for those things. They're one of the highest blitz rates in the league. The Giants are, so we're working through that right now. We got to have answers for everything they do. This is a good defensive front, and we got to be ready. A division opponent. I say this a lot, but the division games are so big. They're so big, and if you want to win championships, you got to win the division, and it's going to be a heck of a challenge for us going into MetLife, but we're excited for it.
Are you aware that you were the first team to go 350 on the ground and then 350 plus in the air since 1988?
I did. I heard that. That's pretty cool to be a part of that. But it's a credit to the players and the work they put in each and every week and the way they prepare. It was awesome to see. That was a good performance.
What have you seen specifically in Jalen's growth when faced with the blitz?
He's been awesome. And I mean, the more you see, the more you play, the more experiences you have, your accelerated vision is going to pick up. And that's what he's been doing. And again, it's a credit to him and his preparation and the film study that he puts in, getting ready for those things each and every week.
We've seen some different personnel packages the last couple weeks. Is that a product of Dallas not being here, and are those things you can use even when he's back?
Yeah, I think it's a both and. I think you always want to be creative with your personnel and getting guys in different spots, whether it's with personnel or just putting guys in different spots to switch up the looks. That's what we want to do.
Shane, you've been around a lot of good quarterbacks. Typically, when you take shots, you might be taking chances too, but it seems like Jalen has been able to make those big plays down the field, not turn the football over. How difficult is that tightrope?
Well, I think the biggest thing is like you got to play what you see, and that's what he does. And if you get a one-on-one opportunity, like we got the players that we do with Smitty and AJ on the outside, like we like those matchups, and so he's going to give those guys a chance, and we got to be calculated with when we call the shots, and then if it's not there, he's got to be able to check it down, which he did a heck of a job last week doing that.
Nick had mentioned that Jalen will dip into a coaches meeting on Tuesday at night. He's still in the building. What's your perspective on that and how rare it is and sort of what you see?
I mean, again, it's just preparation. He's a grinder. I mean, if you want to be the best, you got to prepare the right way. And a guy that I've talked about this early in the season, he doesn't leave the building. Whether it's 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night, he's here. He doesn't stop. And I think when you're obsessed with your craft, you're going to be really good at what you do. And that's what he does. He's obsessed with what he does, and he wants to be the best. And he keeps grinding away every single week.
What's he trying to get out of that, like a Tuesday night meeting? What will the interaction actually be like? How long will he be in there?
Yeah, no, he comes in. He'll come into our meeting, right, and then he'll get with Brian, and they'll talk about stuff, all those little different things, what's in the game plan throughout the day, and we go from there, how they playing defensively, what are we thinking? There's all those little details that go into it. So when he comes in here Wednesday, he's got a good idea of what we're getting done.
Shane, did you identify an issue for all the pre-snap penalties?
You know what? I'm going to keep that in-house, but that's something I'll take that as coaches. We got to get that cleaned up. We can't have that, and we haven't had that this year. But to have as many as we did, we can't do that. We can't beat ourselves, so we got to get that cleaned up in a hurry.
Shane, following up on what Dave just asked, since Dallas has been out, you've kind of found some things in the offense that weren't there, like throwing a jack. They were thrown to the running back Sunday.
Yeah.
They were more involved than they have been. We've seen Quez play more and be more involved. Do you feel like these are things that even when Dallas comes back, you feel like you kind of have more at your disposal now?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when someone goes down, everyone's got to step up, and as coaches, you got to be creative and putting guys in different spots, and then those guys got to go execute the plan, which they've been doing a heck of a job at. And I love the group because everyone's so selfless, and it's all about winning. I mean, we threw it, 39 times, right? And it was just let's keep throwing it. Offensive line guys is let's go. We're protecting well, and we're throwing it, and we're completing balls. Let's keep doing what we're doing and go from there. So it was good.
Is there anything that A.J. Brown has done this year? I mean, does that kind of surprise you? I mean, just catches he made, the one off the guy's back.
Yeah, no, nothing surprised me with him. He's an elite player. Very fortunate that we got him. Great job by Howie getting that done. He's made so many big plays this year, and we got to continue to do that. He's been awesome.
And then what is that? What kind of benefit does that give to the whole offense when you can just throw it up there and chances are better?
Yeah, no, it's pretty nice when you got a player that can go get it like he does, and then along with the other guys that we got. I mean, it's an advantage for us for sure.
When you're calling a game either against the Packers or against the Titans where you're so heavy run or pass that it's working, how does that work in your mind? I mean, are you thinking we have to get to the other aspect of the game, or are you just happy to ride it out?
Yeah, no, I think within the flow of a game, I mean, you have an idea how you want it to play out, but each and every week it could be different. And if something's working, stay with it. You know what I mean? Stay with it. And that's how it went against the Titans, and we were throwing it good, and we kept throwing it.
If you think back to this time last year, you guys weren't throwing the ball. What's the biggest difference in the offense now? Is it A.J.'s presence, Jalen's development? How do you?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of everything. A year two in the system, right? Just the progression Jalen's made. You add A.J. Brown, Devontae's in his second year, Dallas Goedert's growing up. I mean, all these guys, like, you start playing together, right? You get more comfortable with things, and I think that's what it is. I think guys are just gelling together, things are clicking, and guys are seeing it well, and we're playing good football.
Good. Do you have a favorite play that Jalen made from that game?
Gosh, I think the play of the game was the A.J. Brown catch, but I think it started up front with the protection part. Like, they brought blitz, and Miles picked up the blitz. We fanned out to the other guy, and we got the one-on-one on the outside. Like, it was a great team effort on that play.
I'm not sure if you saw the comments, but A.J. said he wasn't expecting that ball to come to him there. And Jalen said he tells these guys to be ready. He can throw to them at any time. At what point did you know the ball was going to A.J.?
Right when he took his drop and I saw that he was one-on-one on the outside, I thought there was a good chance it was getting sent there, and it did. So.